for today. Welcome everybody. My name is Jaakko Hallavo. I spent my professional life at Tieto as a principal consultant, and today I have here my friend Sakari.
Hi, my name is Sakari, and I've been working with e-commerce for 10 plus years or so, and work as a lead consultant at Tieto together with Jaakko. And I'm actually based in Gothenburg, so it's nice to be here. And today we're talking about unified commerce, hit under the buzzword. So we're not really actually talking about unified commerce, because when you think about it, we've been talking about multi-channel and omni-channel, and now we're talking about unified commerce. But what is it that actually defines success? Is it about mastering another buzzword? Or is it about, or what is it actually that gives you the edge to kind of benefit from digital disruption? And today we're going to cover three main topics. So first of all, we want to talk about digital confusion. Why is it that some companies are struggling to kind of get a new digital future going on? And then we talk about the digital leaders. What are they doing differently? And last but not least, Scandinavian Man, a cool client of ours. And how we kind of apply some of these principles to working together with them.
Good. So we're not going to give a vendor pitch here today, but just to share you a few things, maybe setting the stage to our thinking, are the kind of core beliefs that we feel are required for us to stay competitive and all our employees to live fulfilled life. So one thing about how we work with the cloud is systems over blueprints. So essentially having an organization more resembling of a living organism consisting of autonomous teams, forming a team of teams compared to a hierarchical machine. We feel that's important. The other thing is, of course, that customer-driven and design-driven development needs to be in core of our and our customers' thinking. Third, when we think about human motivational theory, you say that it's purpose, mastery, and autonomy that drive engagement within people. And if one thinks this a little bit further, it's about psychological safety. Safe for people to who they really are, safe to feel, disagree without being afraid of the consequences. And people need to feel safe to reach those high-risk initiatives. And third, a fourth thing, what we believe is experimenting and learning constantly. We live a very complex world. It's harder and harder to build long-term plans, make predictions, try to assume things. And only way to be able to master the future buzzwords is to create a culture that fosters learning, experimenting, failure, and learning again. So, with these words, let's continue with the topic about digital confusion.
Yeah, digital confusion. Well, first and foremost, if we want to talk about digital confusion, we just want to quickly mention that if you don't have the right ambition level or high ambition level, this presentation will most likely not resonate that well. And there's of course different levels to this game and different starting points depending on the organization, but why is it that even though you might have a high ambition level, why is it that you can't really move forward? And that's where we see digital confusion. We see organizations with many plans, some with none at all, but without any clarity there's no real execution. We see this overwhelming tech focus. Let's invest in a new digital experience platform. But there's no real business renewal going on alongside it. We see companies wanting to get changes done real quickly. Oftentimes it's one business unit taking charge and resulting in fancy apps with fancy designs, but again, no real change. We see companies working in silos, online marketing worrying about their KPIs, customer service worrying about closing tickets, and etc. We see a mismatch between organizational structures and governance models that do not really support agile ways of working. And last but not least, we've been talking about data for quite some time, but still we see data on the agenda, but no real use cases for actual business benefit.
So, what do digital leaders differently? Our view of this subject is not based on any academic study, but we see a lot of companies, and some just seem to be better equipped for the future. So what do they do differently? Naturally, everyone invests their time in customer-centric and design-driven methodologies when developing their digital solutions. And everyone has data on the agenda to learn, based decisions on facts and not guessing. But in addition to these, we've identified 4 key elements that digital leaders invest their time in. One is about business agility, so moving away from IT agility from team level, how to scale it to the enterprise level. The second is taking destiny into your own hands. Companies that are able to grasp the opportunities in digital space, they do not trust the sales slides of Tieto, Accenture, or other likes. They do not trust slides from SAP or Salesforce or anyone. They need to hire the key people and lower the dependency to vendor side and agencies. Third, they move forward to decomposing the monolithic architecture so that they are able to have a flexible and agile tech stack in addition to agile ways of working. And fourth, they are breaking the silos for a holistic view so that prioritization is not done on business unit level, on siloed KPIs, but on a customer journey level. Let's talk about these a bit more. About the business agility. There are many methodologies out there. You have Scaled Agile Framework, Scrum, Kanban, and those are kind of the tools, but no one can apply just some a model as a kind of a trying to copy something into your own organization. Business agility is very much a cultural change, and we need to respect it as such. It takes time, it takes a lot of effort, and what we've seen is that digital leaders scale these methodologies iteratively. Small step gaining experience, and also mandate from top management. They need to show that this works better than the kind of long-term planning type of a way, and at the same time foster the culture that allows this type of methodologies to work. About taking destiny into your own hands.
Yeah, and you kind of talked about it a little bit before, but digital leaders, they invest in their own competence as well. They don't trust only consultants like us two, and they invest in agile teams rather than platforms, because if you have the teams and the collaboration and methods and all that in place, the technological aspect of what you're trying to achieve kind of comes naturally. And last but not least, they foster this continuous innovation culture. And what does that mean exactly? It's more of a permission to experiment constantly, and first and foremost also to make mistakes. It's okay to make mistakes. And that's basically what taking destiny into your own hands is, investing in their own competence as well.
About decomposing the monolith. So, with high ambition level companies, there is a strong transition to value flexibility more than ready-made features. To be unique on a market, you can't just implement some platform. This has led to a trend where every company is planning on how to move towards a decoupled architecture so that their agile teams can be more productive, more innovative. This doesn't say that the ultra-agile approach doing cloud native would be the only correct way, but companies need to be very good at analyzing their competitive landscape, their ambition level, and then selecting the best best approach. And there's no single architecture that is maybe a kind of a poster child of one of these. It's always a kind of a combination. But there's a big trend towards cloud-native architectures.
Breaking the silos. It's oftentimes it's business and IT having their own KPIs. And it's oftentimes many more other business units as well, but that's usually the main aspect. And this might be quite hard to change as well, because it comes quite naturally to us as organizations and us as people. Something that's really important to me might be completely relevant to someone else. But if you do the strategy and the alignment holistically, and you make decisions based on data, the common goal kind of becomes more clear. And secondly, if you increase the transparency within the organization, the system or anything in all of its components becomes clear as well. And then suddenly your organization is kind of running towards the same goal. And to kind of summarize, what is it that digital leaders do? They create business agility, they take destiny into their own hands, they decompose or deconstruct the monolithic architecture, and they break the silos for a holistic view.
Okay, hard to open up all these topics in just a few minutes, but that reflects our thinking quite a bit. About Scandinavian Man, a cool client that we are working on here in Sweden. Not sure if many of you know the brand. They are in their journey to changing the world through style, innovation, and equality. It is a startup, a media company, and they've created a platform to help launch and market Nordic fashion lifestyle brands to the world. And when they talk about the brand, a platform, it doesn't mean a tech stack. It's about a magazine that is supported by different type of activations, that is supported by their online presence, which will include e-commerce just in a few weeks. This April, they launched their 4th issue of their magazine with Zlatan on the cover, and June we will be ready with the next. It will be a kind of a marketplace type of system where all the partnering brands, their assortments, selected assortments will be available through one single platform. It's very much a content-driven concept, so it's not that much of trying to just sell more, but it's creating engaging content, and then that facilitates people's need for purchases. If we take these 4 key areas that digital leaders need to master, of course it's a bit different working with a large enterprise than a startup, but the same thinking applies. So we have one team developing the solution with very much autonomy, because all the goals and KPIs and everything is shared between everyone, so the team can make right decisions and also feel the power they have and the responsibility. Taking destiny into your own hands. It's a startup and Tieto as a partner, but we are actually only partner for the first 20 weeks, because our target is to accelerate their business development. But on the long run, the idea is that their own developers will take over. We were just there to kickstart it. So everything in the project, technology decisions or documentation or methodologies are done jointly with Scandinavian Man team. This is a greenfield project, so we had the opportunity to use the coolest technologies around. So there's a lot of tech buzzwords there as well. GraphQL, Kubernetes, Node.js, React, and all that. Quite easy in a startup-like environment. And breaking the silos. One shared vision, continuous communication, not just on development tasks, but everything related to the business development. So there we have it, our take on the unified commerce. So yet another buzzword, yes. Takes our actions to the right direction, yes. But still, only those high ambition level companies that foster these digital success enablers are able to execute are the ones that are ready for this buzzword and the next one whatever there lies ahead. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tack så jättemycket.
Tack så mycket.
Det är mycket kramar på VFR. Tack så mycket.